Hi, I want to start doing philosophical vlogs, deep life blogs, in which I just share what's going through my mind. Because I think philosophy all the time, and some of it I hope is pretty interesting. But it's not rehearsed, and there's going to be bits where I get lost, and there's going to be some which doesn't hold together, I'm sure, but I hope it will be of value. And I'm going to do it sporadically to begin with, but my aim is that I'm going to start doing it on a regular basis. And I want to start today by discussing an idea which has been becoming more and more important for me. Over the last 10 years, really, and especially with my latest book, The Mystery Experience, I've been trying to create a new way of talking and thinking about spiritual awakening in a new language, so that it becomes much more immediate. And part of that is so that I can understand it clearer myself, more authentically to my own experience, and also so I can share it more directly. And that's working so well. I'm really delighted. But at my last Mystery Experience retreat, I really noticed something afterwards. And that's that I nearly always, eventually, when we get to that really big place, there's so much love. There's such a feeling of immersion in this that inevitably I end up saying, for me, at the end of the day, this is all about love. That's it. In one way that's absolutely right. But this time, having said that for years and years and years, something in me went, that's almost right. Something's missing. Now, the whole of my philosophy is based on an understanding of paradox, that life is inherently paradoxical and we need to think about it paralogically. And I guess what I was doing was I was looking at that statement paralogically and going, as half of it. There's something else there as well, which I'm not saying. And I think it's also because when there's something missing, when half is missing, it kind of rings untrue. If you really look at it, if you just accept it and go, yes, that's nice, I get that, I feel that. But if you really, then apply it to your life, it's like, oh, I don't know. Because actually my day-to-day experience is that, I really do love a lot. And what I lack often is not the love. What I lack is the wisdom to know how to love. I mean, there's an awful lot of us who really want to do good in the world. But an awful lot of harm is done by people trying to do good, because they lack the wisdom to know how to do good. You can love someone close to you who's in distress, but do you have the wisdom to share that love in the right way? People can smother each other through love. People can enable people who are alcoholics to carry on and destroy their lives through love. And there's endless examples which easily come to mind for you, I'm sure. So what I wanted to say was actually, this is all about love, wisdom. As one word, like with a little line between them, joining them together. Love, wisdom. Not love and wisdom, but love, wisdom. As a paradoxity. As two sides of the same thing. A feeling and an understanding, both of which arise from the deep awake state. You come into the deep awake state in which you see we're all one and we're all many, and what arises from that is love, wisdom. And it's interesting, the first part of my life was spent studying all these different spiritual traditions and then writing about them. I thought of it as the perennial philosophy that I was studying in all these different forms, and everywhere there I would come across these two really important things, love and wisdom, or compassion and wisdom. This is all the same thing. In fact, the word philosophy itself is love, wisdom. Philo, love. Sophia, wisdom. Love, wisdom. And the importance of the wisdom is that that's what evolves. I mean, what also evolves is one's capacity to love and one's openness and the state I'm in. That's changed. But what I mean by that is, in one way, when I really immerse myself in the deep awake state and feel this huge, big love, it's exactly the same as when I experienced it for the first time when I was 12. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same now as it was then. It's so familiar, so there I am. Yeah, it's home. It's the same. But what has changed since I was 12, most definitely, is that I have, I hope, become wiser. I have learnt so much about what it is to love, how one loves, what that means, how to grow. Growing in wisdom is growing in love. Because it's a paradoxity, because it's yin and yang, they contain each other. So wisdom arises from love leads to wisdom, and it's the wisdom of love, and one becomes a lover of wisdom. That's what a philosopher is, a lover of wisdom. So, and then wisdom itself is paralogical. It's a paradoxity. Because there's a sense of wisdom where it means exactly this. It means knowing. That's where it comes from, the same root in the German. And it really means knowing in a very deep sense, like the ancients talk about gnosis. I call it deep knowing. There's that direct gnosis of something before words. That's deep wisdom. That's where all the wisdom comes from. And then there's conceptual discrimination, this and that. Oh, this, not that. Don't do that, do this. You think you'll do that, it won't work because of this. And then, so that's also like there's intuitive wisdom and rational wisdom. And they're both really important because intuitive is non-reflexive. It just comes up from the depths. And then rational is reflexive. It's something which you hold in front of you and look at and go, is that right? Because not everything that comes up seems to come from the depths is wisdom. Also, prejudice and ignorance can seem to rise up from the depths. Come from the unconscious sources. And you need both of those. There's a dead now Indian teacher, Advaita teacher, who had a huge influence on me when I was much younger, called Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. And he has this line, which I have on a T-shirt, actually, somewhere. I should have put it on today, where he says something like, wisdom is the oneness of things, and compassion or love is the manyness of things. And that's one way of seeing it. So wisdom then is the gnosis. It's knowing. Wisdom is knowing, look, it's all one. Separateness is just the surfaced vibrations on one ocean of being. That's deep wisdom. And then love is embracing all the separateness, embracing all the many beings within that oneness. And I often say love is how oneness feels. So that's that. Oh, it's one, and I feel this connectedness, and that's this natural love. But you can also, because everything is paralogical, you can also flip that about, it seems to me. And the way I tend to think about it is the opposite of Nisargadatta now, although it's the same, which is that love is the realization of oneness. You know, I experience the love just arises from the oneness. So love is what makes everything one. But wisdom is what discriminates. Wisdom is the separateness. Wisdom is the learning how to live in love as a separate individual in the manyness of things amongst all these other separate individuals. And that's not easy, is it? That's really not. It takes and I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm growing in that daily and confronted constantly with new challenges all the time as to what it would be to love in this situation. And God, I wish it was as simple as just love. But it's not, is it? It's actually more subtle than that because of this paradoxity. It's find love wisdom. And that needs you to sink deeper into the oneness and the love and then use all the faculties of consciousness. to express that love uniquely as you happen to be, or me as I happen to be in this situation as it happens to be. And that's totally, here's this universal love, which is always there. It's always the answer. And then here's the particularness where you have to find the particular response, which is the challenge of life. Which is why when you get these huge generalizations around love, it's very beautiful and there's something really deep. But there's something also not right, isn't there? So, love is all you need. I love that. Chris, John Lennon. Ooh. I love him. But love isn't all you need. You need food and shelter and loads of stuff. You need love and you need the stuff. You need to be canny as well to exist and to survive and deal with all the levels of reality. Or, I remember a gentleman who was actually a vicar in the Church of England once saying to me that he had trouble with give all your money to the poor. Jesus saying that. Love, because he just said, well, I'll just be one of the poor. Where's the... And what he's doing is going, that's just love. Give it all away. That's love. And then wisdom comes in and goes, well, hang on. And that's right, isn't it? Because, maybe you can give it all away if you're a single guy who's just a traveling mendicant. But if you're a family man, if you've got people who are responsible for, to keep them healthy and fed, and you're not going to do that. You can't do that. And suddenly that beautiful sentiment is just fluff. And it's not fluff, it's deep. We should care for each other, but we need the wisdom to know how to meet our responsibilities and also to give. And these are things which have no simple answers. These are things which demand that we search within ourselves to find the answers. So, my conclusion for today's little philosophical meander is that this journey, for me, is a journey to love wisdom. One thing. And love wisdom, they're two and one at the same time. They're a paradoxity. Which is why you can't have one without the other. Or, let me say it more clearly, if you want to have one, you need the other. Wisdom without love is nothing. Because love is what gives it all of the energy. Love is what gives it the motivation. Love is what makes sense of the wisdom. But conversely, that feeling, that expansiveness of the love and the connection, without the wisdom learnt through living, through mistakes, through failing and through succeeding in loving, without that, then the love is impotent or purely fluffy and can never do what it needs to do, which is come right down in to all of the ambiguity of life, to the difficulty and the challenges and the suffering that we actually experience on this journey. And we don't experience that by accident. We experience that because that is where we learn what love wisdom is.